I want to take a brief moment to explain my setup for making organic paint. Um, so I start off by taking whatever organic materials, in this case I have acorn caps and acorn nuts, taking this 4 gallon or 16 quart stock pot, filling it up enough to cover the bottom and then some a little bit. Um, Pouring it up to about halfway with water, turning the pot, the stove on to max, and getting it to a boil. I let it boil for a good half hour. Really get whatever is going to dissolve, half hour to an hour to give it plenty of time to dissolve into the water. I am cooking my acorn nuts solution down because this, as you can just see by the way the bubbles go on the surface, this is thick, whereas the acorn cap solution has, it's basically like water. It isn't gaining in viscosity at the same quantity that the nuts are, and I think that's because the nuts are starchy, and so boiling them down for a very long time, like I boiled the nuts for like 2 hours, that really extracted, actually a lot longer than 2 hours, that really extracted out a lot of the starches that were in them. And then we can see that's in the solution. So I think this is going to make a decent organic solution, or organic paint for pottery. Update on the acorn solution. This is the acorn nuts solution that's been boiled down, and then once it became maybe twice this volume, maybe a cup of liquid, 2 cups of liquid, I transferred it over to the crock pot and just kept stirring it until it looked just about dried out enough that it would fit in here. And then now I'm going to let it evaporate all of its water out. As you can see, it is very jiggly. It is still slightly warm, so as it cools down and as it dries out, it will just solidify and become like a brick. And I'm hoping that this will be the perfect thing to use as organic paint, because there is tons and tons of acorns that are out there, and if it's just the nuts, you could very easily make this much paint in about a day or two with very little actual effort put into making this. So I'm excited to see how this works on a pot. Okay, let's touch the snow. Touch the snow. So what I'm doing over here, I have my 13 samples that I've collected from my 2 trips, plus 2 samples that I got from Andy Ward's Ancient Pottery. So what I've done is I made little test tiles. Each one is inscribed with its number on the other side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to polish one half of it to see what it looks like. And then the other half I'm going to try with a mixture of Andy's organic paint mixture and my acorn mixture to see which one is able to hold or which one of these hold carbon, and if my stuff is as good as Andy's stuff. So let me explain what I'm doing right here. I have each one of these is cut up like this, so it has a line down the middle. I waited a little while, so the left half is supposed to be polished or burnished rather smooth, but this one is okay but you can see definitely on some of them that I did it a little too late. So my plan is, this is the acorn solution. I just took some of this water right here in this Gatorade bottle, dripped it in there, let it soak for a bit, and stirring it up to get it fully hydrated again so I can paint it. I plan on painting the top right quarter of this with my acorn paint. Painting the bottom right corner with Andy Ward's, I think this is mesquite bean paint. And then we're gonna load these up and fire them to see if, one, if I can get organic paint to fire using my charcoal method, and two, to see if I can get that, which one of the slips that I've collected holds organic paint. So I'm gonna go on and paint all of these as much as I can while there's still daylight. All right, so I just finished up. So let me pull out a couple of examples to show you. So like, example here, we can see my acorn paint. Can you focus? There we go. My acorn paint is a slightly different color from Andy's paint. And I think towards the end, they were pretty similar in consistency. When the acorn on this one was still dry, or still wet rather, when the acorn was still wet, they looked very similar. But this one's dried quite a bit. Now that it's dried, I mean, you can obviously tell the difference between the left and the right, but I may put a second application on because this looks a little thin. So we'll wait and see till it's fully dried, but all of them are done. I'm gonna let them dry out. The paints themselves, what you do to store them is you just leave them uncovered to evaporate all the water that was absorbed. You can see that now it was flowing, now it's not flowy at all, so I bet you I could repaint this onto there and it would actually be a bit better. But you can see on some of these, like, it's a really thick application of it. So like, for example, on that one, you can see it's definitely pooling up. On this sample, definitely have pools of extra thick areas. So I think some of these are okay. I'll let them dry to see how they look with the organic paint on them, and if I need to do a second application or not. The test tiles are in the center. You can see them there a little bit. This is elevated off the ground so it can get some airflow everywhere. Also, the ground is very wet from all the melting snow. This time I lit it from the top with the charcoal, the Easy Light charcoal. That makes it a lot easier to get started. We'll see if it gives a better firing. Of course, I have my safety valve over there. I have buckets of gallons of water, and my gloves over there in case I need it. We'll see if this works out well, lighting it from the top versus lighting it from the bottom, how I normally do it. I am coming to the end of the firing. You can see even the pot, or the paint can itself, is red hot on the outside. The samples, let me see if I can zoom in on them, are not quite fully fired yet. They're not cleaned up, but as soon as I can see that the colors have burned nicely, then I will pull them out. So I'll get my thermometer and check it. Once it gets to about 700 C on the top, I'll pull it out. All right, so the results are not entirely conclusive. I know for sure that the acorn paint definitely works as an organic paint. So if you have acorns in your area, you can boil them down to make organic paint for pottery. I have the bowl. You can see the top edge of it. If I could get the smoke out of the way, you can see the top edge of it right there.
along with a bunch of test tiles. The wind made it hard to start, but I used my blowtorch that I used to use for metalwork on here, and that looks like it got the flame started, so that should get the chimney going quite soon. Alright, well that firing did not go entirely to plan, but here's the bowl. It's got two decent cracks, and I think I can still see the paint, so I'll have to wipe off the ash. I put the test tiles, most of them, back into the firing to hopefully burn off the carbon to get a better look at their color, and so I'm gonna let them cool off here like this. But yeah, whew, you can. It's cold enough to see my breath, so let's see. Put it inside here to protect it from the wind. Oh, there we go. The battery's so cold it's hardly able to show up, but it's just barely below 300, it looks like. So I'll hold this, let it warm up a bit, and then give that a minute to keep cooling down, protected from the wind mostly by the paint can. Alright, so as we can see, I washed the bowl a bit with water. I'm pretty sure because I polished the surface, that's why it didn't stick. Because you can see on places where it's not so polished, there's better black. Although it could be my firing technique, so we'll have to wait and see. I also put the test tiles back in to try and see what color the slips would be. I may just have to make brand new ones, which I plan to do already. So not the most awesome results, but we'll see. One of my favorite things about earthenware is the noise it makes when you get it wet. It makes this hissing as the water absorbs into it. Ah, it's so satisfying. Alright, so I have all of the samples lined up. You hear my new kitten in the background. Let's flip them over and see what they look like. So, sample 1. Okay, that's sort of the same color I had on the other bowl. Sample 2. Okay, another orangey color, exactly what I thought. 3 still needs to be done. 4 is in pieces. Okay, those I believe were all oranges. This one just got reheated. I don't think it cooked off any of the carbon, as you can see. 5, definitely interesting. I think that's supposed to be a tannish, maybe buff color. Or that's 6 rather. 7, okay, another tanny color. 8, looks like with paint it turns red, maybe tan normally. I'll have to try these again. 9, let's see, 10, ooh, that's a red. I'll have to try that number again. Let's see if that makes a decent red all on its own. 11, inconclusive, still black in spots. 12, ooh, that's a good red as well. I'll have to try that one again to see what that is. 13, I think this one just got heated up. You can see some of the ones. This one got heated up again because it has that new ash on there, but yeah, didn't, some of them look better, some of them not so much. Okay, so a few notes for the next time. One, make better test tiles. Make sure you polish when they're dry enough, you might want to wait for warmer weather so that you don't feel rushed, or maybe bring them inside. Two, uh, try the open firing, not in the can. That is good for other things, but especially with the wind, it can be quite difficult to get that to work correctly, as evidenced by the bowl cracking. And three, I think the clay that I got from my aunt, that black clay, is really good on its own. I'm not sure if the extremely slow drying because of this weather, this so cold weather, it took like 2 weeks to dry out for a small bowl, if that alone was enough, or if the clay itself has enough temper mixed into it already that it doesn't need any more. I'll have to test it some more in warmer weather. I'm not too sure about that, so that definitely requires more testing. But that's very interesting, and that would be awesome if I just need to essentially levigate the largest chunks and like organic matter and stuff, like the limestone pieces out of there, so I don't have spalls. Uh, because charcoal tends to fire pretty hot, which might be another thing that may have caused the organic test to. Whoa! Another thing that caused the organic paint test to fail, um, is the temperature. The temperature may have gotten too high and completely burned it out, but also polishing the bowl was, I don't think that's what you're supposed to do if you're using organic paint. With mineral paint, it should be fine because it should stick, but with organic paint, I think you're not supposed to polish the white. So I'm going to look further into that and do some more testing, and I'm definitely going to try making better test tiles again so that I can put those back into the sample bags and have an actual, a visual example of what it fires to. And I think I might work on. Whoa! I don't think I was supposed to polish the inside with organic paint, so that's another thing that I'm going to try again. Um, so that's it. I hope you enjoyed watching. Toast. Toast.